Hey there, before beginning this video, I'm going to do a short advertisement for myself. So Zeeebo's channel membership has been officially launched, as people actually ask me whether I have some sort of membership feature or subscription feature so that they can show their support and appreciation for this channel. So I really appreciate it and I want to value add to all my members. So I split up the different perks into 3 different tiers. We have your Zip Fam, Zip Super Fan, as well as Zip Big Daddy. So for the Zip Fam, we get custom emojis that you guys can use for the comment section as well as live streams. And these emojis, they are custom drawn as I commission artists to draw all these. There's a lot more in reserves, and as we get more members, I'm gonna add in more emojis in this section. All the members in all tiers will get all access to all the live streams on the channel moving forward. So that's that for the Zip Fam tier. We have the Zip Super Fan. So on top of the Zip Fam perks, right, Zip Super Fan members will also get exclusive contents, which I plan to release at least twice a month, right, which talks about exclusive meta reviews, builds, secret strats, as well as all the nitty-gritty stuff that you guys might want to know if you're more hardcore in AFK journey. So lastly, we have the Zip Big Daddy. So on top of all the previous perks, the members in this tier can actually go into a one-to-one Discord call session with me just to have a chat, do a simple account review, or just discuss arena strats in general. So do take a look at the Zeeebo membership and then support the channel if you want to show your appreciation, as well as if you have the financial capabilities. Every bit of support is greatly appreciated. And with that, let us start today's video. Let's go. Hey there and welcome to this endgame tier list video. So more specifically in today's video, we're going to cover AFK Analytical's endgame tier list. So just a little bit of backstory for you guys. When I first started out AFK journey, there were very limited resources, right? Pre-win didn't exist. There wasn't a lot of people sharing their strats, and I honestly had a lot of questions as to what to do, what are the different things that we need to know. So AFK Analytical is basically a group of players that came from AFK Arena, and they're one of the earliest groups of players in AFK journey in the Pioneer testing server. So I learned a lot of them when I was a beginner, and in today's video, I'm going to give back to them, run through their endgame tier list, and if you guys need guides for their different stuff that you guys can see on screen right here, be it AFK Journey or AFK Arena, you guys can visit the site yourself, okay? So for this one, we're going to run through the tier list portion, more specifically the endgame tier list. So before you guys, CCL lovers pass over CCL being in the S tier, I'm going to talk about how they actually rate the units. They have a very systematic approach to it, where they give a point system to the units based on how many times the units are used, or based on how powerful the unit might be in the different game modes. So I'll say this tier list is more versatility in the end game rather than how powerful the unit is individually. So this is just a disclaimer before I start. So they have the EX tier, which is the best units for overall gameplay. We have the S tier, which are decent units, very versatile, very powerful in the different game modes. We have the A tier units, which might be less versatile. They might be strong in specific contents, but not in all the different contents out there. So B tier and C tier, they are pretty lousy unit, and especially we have the walker units down here. So these are the units which are the toilet bowl tiers, right, which I usually use. So the explanation for this tier list is as such, is designed for the end game. Heroes are scored on performance for Arena, Dream Realm, as well as Battle Drill, and the scores for each game mode can be found inside the Google Excel sheet, which I'll run through. So everything can be found on the website. You guys can actually visit it yourself. And for this tier list per se, right, the data is collected from different players in the PTR server, as well as from the experience of different groups of people. So they're free-to-play players who probably invested a lot in CCL, and that's why CCL's usage actually got boosted up. There's also the whales, right, people who spend a lot in the game and gave opinions on units such as Dornell, as well as units like Rainer, as well as Kalita, because these units are not really cheap. So in order to test their full potential, or in order to test how versatile they really are, you kind of need to spend a little bit to test them out. So that's for this tier list, and with that, let's go into the Google sheet. So we're gonna jump into the tier list portion, right, where you get all the numbers. So as you guys can see, all the units actually have a number to them, and this number is attributed to the different game modes, where they actually give the different points for the different units. Okay, so I'll start by talking about the 5 EX unit, which I totally agree, except for Dornell. So for Rainer, OD, Smokey, and Torrent, they are basically the meta units where you pretty much need them for the different game modes in order to achieve the best damage, in order to push through contents, in order to do a lot of damage to the bosses, or even have a chance in PvP itself. So these units, they are very versatile and they are very powerful. So I totally agree with them. We're going to run through the points later on. For Donnell's case, I'll say this unit is also really powerful if you do max him out, but you do have to have a lot of planning as well as a lot of investment into him in order to see this unit really shine. So I kind of don't agree with the tier system for Donnell, unfortunately. So we're going to run through the numbers on the different game modes, right? Dream Realm, Arena, as well as Battlefield, to see why these units they are on the top, why Rainer is the best, why Smokey is very important, and why is Donnell even up there. Okay, so let's go through the Dream Realm first. So they have a point system as to which unit. Let me just arrange based on the points. Okay, so we go from the best to the worst. Okay, we go from the best to the worst. Okay, so we have Rainer being the top of the Dream Realm side. So the top 4 units, right, they are basically the best units for Dream Realm. If you guys have seen my video for Dream Realm, Odie, Corey, Melly, as well as Rainer, they pretty much appear in every single team for Dream Realm, right? They are basically your best damage dealers, or they are basically your best support or shielder for the game mode, and they are basically a must-have if you want to squeeze into the top ranks of the game mode itself. So that's why they're all worthy of a 3 across the board, because they are really useful in all the bosses. You can use them. If you don't have Merrily, you can use Odie, right? If you don't have Odie, you can use Merrily or Corinne. So they're very substitutable, and they are your top tier units, right? If you don't have one of each, you can switch to another one within the pool, and I think you'll still do just fine. So these units, they are the top of the pack in terms of Dream Realm. So total score of 4, because they are the max score for all the different bosses. Okay, next we have Smokey at 3 points, right, from this category. So for Smokey's case, I agree with the Snow Stomper, King Croaker, as well as the Skyclops ranking, because for Snow Stomper, the boss is able to fully silence Smokey, which renders his ability relatively useless. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys who have a Smokey invested probably know it by now. Smokey is not the best unit for Snow Stomper, so only 1 point for Smokey in this category. So we have King Croaker and Skyclops. Obviously, Smokey is one of the best support buffers. If his skill is uninterrupted, this unit is insane in the supporting department in these 2 bosses. So the reason why Necrodrake is only 2 points is, I guess, because Necrodrake can actually stun any of your units randomly. So if Smokey gets stunned by Necrodrake, then the potential healing or the potential buffing or whatever this unit is trying to do will not be very efficient, because he gets disrupted by the Necrodrake itself. So as long as you can disrupt Smokey to prevent what he wants to do, which is to heal a lot as well as provide offensive prowess, then this unit might not be that powerful, right? Even in Dream Realm per se. So that's why only 2 points here. So overall takes the total, if you take the total score and then you get like a rundown version, they give Smokey a 3 point over here. So same for Kruger. I think for Kruger's case, it's not like Kruger is not the best unit. I think Kruger is probably one of the most versatile debuffer in the game, but in terms of like the higher end damage dealing spectrum, this unit is not a must-have for King Croaker and Skyclops. So if you don't have him, right, I mean, if you don't have Corinne, right, or you don't have for example, Scarlita in certain comps, you can use Kruger, right? He's not the best choice, but he is a good choice. So that's why this unit is only 2 points here. Not because this unit is bad, but you have better choices for maximum damage. Okay, so that's for Kruger's case. So 3 points warranted for as well. There's Scarlita. So for Scarlita's case, right, the reason why Scarlita is a 1-1-3-1 is because there's actually only one location where Scarlita is meta, which is Skyclops, because you need some sort of AoE, and Scarlita provides the fractional bonus as well as the insta-killing ability, which allows you to remove the summon really quickly. So Scarlita is part of the meta team for most damage, so that's why it's 3 points. But I kind of don't understand why, if Scarlita is not that much used in other bosses, she's still warranted for the 2 points. So that's something which I guess you can say that Scarlita is in the middle of the pack, like in terms of versatility. Like she's meta for one boss, can use for other bosses, so that's why they give her the 1 point. So generally still a decent unit if you don't have some of the most meta units in the slot. Okay, so that's for Scarlita's case. So Cassidy's case, similar, right? Very similar. I will say in terms of Cassidy's rating, I don't agree with the Necro Drake because I do think that she can still be of some use in Necro Drake. I don't know why is it a 0 here, but like Cassidy's role is a DPS slash debuffer, which goes really well with Odie because Odie is a magical attacker. So being able to apply a magical debuff on the boss and then having Odie's ultimate stacking damage over time with the debuff on is pretty good damage, right? If you don't have the best units in the pool. So in terms of the other bosses, same thing. Cassidy also offers a little bit of AoE for Skyclops in general, so decent unit for Skyclops as well. King Croaker, same thing, right? Whatever she wants to do for Snow Stomper as well as Skyclops, she can do it for King Croaker. So that therefore she's 2 points over here. Not the best unit, but I'll say pretty good substitute in case you don't have the most meta top few units up there. So I don't know about Necro Drake, but I think 2 points compared to Skalita, I guess it's fair. I guess Skalita could be a little lower, but they have a 4-point system, so 4 points being the best units, 3 points being the unit above the most, as well as being the more meta ones, and then 2 points for being the average unit for this game mode. So I guess Skalita is, yeah, pretty average. Like not like she's bad, she's just not the most meta unit, so that's why only 2 points. And then for Teenmasia's case, Teenmasia is similar to Cassidy in a sense. Teenmasia is decent in a few bosses, but not so much in King Croaker, because for Teenmasia's case, right, this unit actually just runs around randomly. So King Croaker's bubble can actually hit Teenmasia and cause this unit to pass away really quickly. So that's why you don't want to run Teenmasia in King Croaker. But every other boss, I think she's a decent frontliner as well as debuffer if you have her as Supreme Plus, offering a little bit of synergy together with Melody and Corinne for additional damage. And Teenmasia is definitely one of the best tank for Necro Drake because you need a little bit of mobility for the boss. So that's why I guess Teenmasia is a decent for the score, 2 points over here. Same thing for Vala. Vala is highly mobile, so used a lot in Necro Drake. Definitely can fit into the meta team. Maybe not so much as to Snow Stomper and King Croaker and Skyclops, because Melody simply takes the position as the light bearer DPS of choice for Dream Realm. So that's why Vala is here. So Torrent, similar. Torrent is a must for King Croaker, so 3 points because you need Torrent to counter the insta-kill, obviously. In fact, if I could give Torrent 4 points for King Croaker, I'll give Torrent, because if you don't use Torrent, you basically cannot achieve top damage in King Croaker. And Snow Stomper, yes, the debuff, the counter attack, as well as the linking to protect your carry is really versatile, so you can definitely use Torrent in Snow Stomper and achieve good results as well. A Service Server in Skyclops and Necro Drake, although you have the better meta units up there. So for Donnell's case, okay, so for Donnell's case, yeah, I don't know. I think Donnell is also okay for Necro Drake, right? Because I personally I don't have a lot of experience and encounter with Donnell, so I don't know how good this unit is in Dream Realm per se. Like I mentioned multiple times, it's a very expensive unit. I think it's a whale's toy. I personally don't run this unit, so I don't even know whether or not this unit is serviceable. But considering the fact that we have a bunch of really stacked carries on top, right? I think any unit that is not in this range, right, they are pretty much not meta at all. So even if they do give this unit a 1 point, I still won't encourage you guys to use it. Like in general, I think units which get like 1 point in terms of the usage, they basically don't see too much of a use. Okay, so for Rowan's case, I did argue that Rowan might be a little bit better for Necro Dragon, because you can use Rowan as a mobility support which provide heal as well as energy cycling. But I do agree with King Croaker as well as Skyclops, because Rowan doesn't do damage, so he's not like a first choice support you want to use for Dream Realm purposes, although he has some niche in the Necro Drake department. Okay, Shakir, Snow Stomper specifically, yes. Shakir is in the meta build, so very strong there. Not good for Croaker, similar reason to Teenmasia, just jumps around randomly and then you eat the bubble and you die. Necro Drake is yeah, because when Shakir is fighting Necro Drake, I don't think Shakir actually moves, so not very good against Necro Drake. So Shakir is a very niche character in the meta team for Snow Stomper. Okay, so 1 point, okay, I guess, right? Okay, Brian, no, don't use Brian for Dream Realm. Cecil, no. Like even if they give it 1 point, I won't use Cecil for Dream Realm. Even for Skyclops, because Cecil's damage output is just not very good. So even though they do give the units for this ranking, I'll say the 1 point is just there to say that, hey, if you have these units, you don't have every other meta units on top, you can use the unit down there. But I'm pretty sure if you guys have seen my Dream Realm tier list, you guys probably developed like some of the meta units on top in order for you to achieve better ranks. So I wouldn't recommend any of the units down here which only has 1 point, because they're units which you use if you really don't have the good units, which is not good. Like, this is not good. So that's why Cecilia is here. So they give her 1 point. Honestly speaking, I think a lot of these units which get 1 point, they can be easily 0 points as well, because yeah, I honestly won't recommend people to use them. So that's that. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion, but they give the units a few points. So for Morale's case, Morale is okay for Snow Stomper. I could argue that she's also okay for Skyclops because of her AoE capabilities, but I do think that Morale is a little bit slow. So that's why, yeah, that's why they explain this rating. So we have Seth. High mobility unit, can be used in Necrodrake because jumps around a lot, runs around, so can actually counter Necrodrake's mechanics by a little bit. So okay, 1 point. Okay, Damien, okay, 1 point. Right, Lyca's also 1 point. Okay, so for this one, for Coco's case, I'll say that Coco actually is not very much tested in the PTR server. So this is something which I think might not be the most accurate, because in Dream Realm per se, I do think that Coco is actually pretty amazing for most people from the early to mid to late game. In the end game portion, Coco, I do think that she can be, I think her score can be easily a 2, because this unit's supportive capability is just insane. The ability to shield to protect your team while providing a little bit of buff as well as damage up in terms of the skills makes Coco an insanely good support. Is she a good unit for Dream Realm? Not necessarily, but I do think that across the board her score could be a little higher, right? She could be a 2 across the board, because if let's say you don't have Smokey, I think Coco is a good replacement. If you don't have the likes of Rowan, for example, right, Coco is also a pretty damn good replacement. On top of that, she is a Mauler unit, so she functions really well with some of the very meta Mauler units in Dream Realm, which is OD, right, Smokey, Kruger, right? So these are all units that synergize really well with her. So I do think that her score could be a little bit higher. But she's a relatively new unit at the point when they were working on this tier list. So I guess right now with more testing on her, her position probably increased slightly. Or rather could increase slightly, right? Until their next update. So the rest of the other units getting 0 point because, yeah, don't bother using them. Like, this unit is just not good for Dream Realm, so I'm not going to talk too much. By now, you guys probably know what are the good Dream Realm units, what are the serviceable substitute for Dream Realm. In case you don't have the best units, you can use all the, I'll say like 1 point unit over here to fit into your team and try whether or not you can get better damage. And then 2 points for the units which can fit into nearly every team. They might not be the best at all bosses, but they're meta for some boss. And then we have the 3 and 4 point units, which are the meta units for Dream Realm per se. So that's for their Dream Realm section. So these are the point system. Next, we go into Arena. So for Arena's case, they split the Arena ranking into offense and defense, and then from there they get the average between the two score. So from here you guys can see that the top units, let's just go into, let me arrange the score for a little bit. Okay, so the top units in terms of the Arena is as such. So Scalita, Dwonel, Iron, Torrent, Carolina, as well as Damien. I do think that Arden could also be a 4 in my honest opinion, because I myself use Arden a lot in offense and defense, and I think he does the job really well. So for the units on top, I don't think I need to explain too much for Scalita. If you're a whale, if you're a spender, and you're able to develop both Reyna and Scalita, this unit is simply amazing on both offense and defense. Very, very good insta-kill ability with very big AoE coverage, as well as the utility to provide a shield for your team, as well as the fractional bonus link. So very, very powerful unit. Dwonel, same thing. I think that's where Dwonel got most of his points, because Dwonel is actually a pretty insane unit for Arena if you do have him maxed out. Like I mentioned earlier, this is an endgame tier list. So this is from a perspective of somebody who has Dwonel maxed out with decent levels on his EX weapon. So I've seen Dwonel maxed out performing insanely well. So I do agree with the 4 point usage just for Arena alone, right? Not for other game modes. But yes, I think this unit is quite strong in Arena, both on offense and defense, even though you sort of need to plan around him for your team building portion. So we have Iron as well. I don't think I need to explain too much. Pretty much meta. Torrent, same thing, pretty much meta. So Carolina is also pretty much meta because she's often seen with Iron in terms of the arena matchups. So I don't run Carolina Iron, I run Iron and Arden. So it's the same thing, but with a little bit more fractional bonus. But I do agree that Carolina is definitely a 4 in the arena, especially in the current meta, because Iron and her is just simply crazy. Like, there's not a lot of teams that can survive, and there's not a lot of team that can fight sustain in a long drawn out battle because they have control in the team as well. So Damien's one of the best support in the game, one of the best late game support, providing heal, haste, as well as the ability to tank in the front line, recycling the card over and over again. Definitely worthy of the 4 points and being very powerful on both offense and defense. Okay, so these are the top meta units in arena. I kind of agree with all of them, so let's move on to the next one. So we have Barrel, Reina, Viperion, Herwin, Bryon, and Coco. So for Barrel's case, okay, 3 points. I'll say that 3 point is okay, maybe even 2 point on offense. The reason is because Barrel doesn't have a lot of good teams to fit him into. It's more like a rogue standalone character. Like, Barrel's skill is very, very powerful, very, very insane as a standalone unit. But if we talk about team synergies as well as team building, Barrel doesn't really exactly have a meta comp yet. We do have the Flora Zoo right now, but I don't know. I could argue that Barrel on offense is a 2. The reason why Barrel on defense is a 4 is because for Barrel's case, there's quite a bit of RNG in terms of where he moves and where he summons his silhouette, you know, who he summons the silhouette on if you do have him maxed out. And in terms of defense, you want RNG, because if your enemy can break you one time, you don't want them to break you 100% of the time. That's where you need a little bit of RNG involved to make sure that they don't win all the time, and Barrel actually does the job really well there. Then for Reina's case, Reina is more so an offensive unit. In fact, I think on the defensive spectrum, okay, fine. Like his ability to remove 1 or 2 enemies on the battlefield to give you a little bit of advantage is also really helpful. So I can agree with the 3 points on defense. But in general, I would recommend people putting Reina on defense because people can play around the dynamic balance, which is the second skill, which is the most powerful part of the kit, right? So if you don't benefit from it, this unit pretty much lose, like, I'll say 30 to 40% of his efficiency. Then we have Viperion, very, very powerful AoE mage attacker. 3.5 point, yeah. I don't know. I think Viperion could be also 4 points. But maybe the reason why he's slightly lower offense is because you have better choices. Iron and Carolina specifically. So if I have Iron and Carolina, I won't run Iron and Viperion because Carolina does more damage and Carolina has CC for the team. So yeah, I think it's okay. 3 points okay. And with Herwin, okay. My thought about Herwin would be a clear 4 because I think in terms of the support compartment, other than Damien, Herwin is the next best support. So I use both Herwin and Damien offensively as well, and I can say that Herwin is definitely worthy of the 4. If it depends on the team you're using and depends on the setup that you're trying to fight against. So that's for Herwin. Yeah, I think Herwin can be bumped up a little bit, but I can agree with their 3.5 points. If they say that, you know, they don't use a lot of Herwin because she's very defensive, so she's better on the defense because you can stall out the timer and then win from there, but in offense you can't, so you kind of want more offensive power, and that's why if they do speak of it from that direction, 3 points is okay. Then we have Bryon. Okay, Bryon is damn underrated, by the way. Like, Bryon is one of the most underrated unit in the pool because people don't see meta usage for Bryon in other game modes, and Bryon is not a really good early game content pusher, so a lot of people are sleeping on this unit. But let me tell you this, Bryon is one of the strongest late game character in AFK journey because he has the ability to deal a lot of damage while keeping himself alive from all the assassins trying to snipe him because of the EX weapon. So if you guys want to try him out, I can say he's quite a powerful late game character, especially in the arena. He's also used in battle drill, as you guys will see later on in terms of the points. So that's for Bryon's case. So Coco, I don't think I need to explain too much. I think if Coco pops off her ultimate, she's just crazy. At the late game, you got the EX weapon up, like Coco just hits really, really hard. I mean, like, just shields up and protect your team really, really hard if you do get the ultimate off. So very, very powerful unit in the arena. So I think any unit that's above the 3 point mark, or at least the 3 point mark, I'll call them meta. So Vala is definitely meta. Vala is more meta on the offense and defense because on the offense, you can position your Vala to snap off key targets. But on the defense, right, the same can be said. Your opponent can put an Igor to redirect Vala's attention, and that's why she's only a 2 on the defense. Because I think in the late game, Igor is quite common, and the Igor against Vala trick is quite commonly used amongst the veterans in PTR server. Then we have Sylvina. Sylvina is definitely an offensive character because same thing, this unit can actually snipe off key targets because of the targeting priority, but the same can be said on a defense because they jump to a specific target. You can abuse their weakness to bait them in and then kill them from there, so they're not very good on defense. Shakir is questionable. I think Shakir is worthy of a 4 across the board as well because Shakir is probably one of the very powerful late game answers to the control meta. I think it's just relatively unexplored. I mean, I'm trying to build him up and then see whether or not I can rebuild a new meta or even a counter meta. So if there's something that you guys are interested on, you guys can stay tuned for that. But I think this unit definitely has more in him than just this number. Yeah, because I've played against a lot of Shakir in arena myself. And I think that this unit is quite worthy of a higher score. And we have Odie. Yeah, I think Odie is versatile, but he's not the strongest unit. Like, cause he's relatively paper. So against like all the very powerful bursts like the Iron Carolina combo, dies quite easily. So yeah, 3 points. If let's say your enemy cannot answer to him, he's gonna wreak havoc. But in most cases, at the higher tiers, you have a lot of answers to Odie, so that's why only 3 points across the board. Okay, Arden, I mentioned already, I think Arden is worthy of the 4-4 spot because I use him a lot. I think he's really, really powerful. Then next, we're gonna move into the 2.5 range. Igor. Okay, Igor is questionable. I also think Igor is damn bloody annoying. Like, if you don't have the answers to Igor, then this unit is easily, I'll say, 3.5. Cause like, how are you going to kill this unit? If you don't have insta kill, how are you going to kill him? You're going to burst him now, but if he has heal support and he is in a very tanky team, it's going to be very, very troublesome. So 2.3 points, Igor is definitely better on the defense. Because on the offense, you kind of want to kill your enemies, right? So yeah, I can see why they give a 2 to 3 range in terms of offense and defense. But I do think that Igor is worth more in terms of general points. Maybe at least a 3 points. Because I do see this unit being very annoying in the late game, like based on my personal encounters. So with Antandra, okay, yeah, Antandra does her job as a secondary tank really well. The EX weapon ability also offers quite a bit of protection for the unit that you're trying to protect, so decent there. Nero is one of the very slept on support because people don't see a lot of this unit in content pushing. But this unit's kit is bloody sick in terms of PvP setting because the ability to extend the life of your allies for them to do more is insane. So yeah, I think 2.5 is okay. Not overly game breaking, but can be game changing if you don't deal with it. Then there's Laika. Personally, I think Laika's main issue is that there's not a lot of teams for her right now. Yeah, like I do think the 2.5 is okay. Yeah, this unit definitely can be used in arena, but in general, people don't use her, more so because there's no team for her. Not that she's bad, but rather there's no team. So yeah, that's for Laika's case. Cisia 2.5, no. I think, okay, to be fair to Cisia, if you do summon the golem, yeah, I think okay. Yeah, if you do summon the golem, she could be quite good. And usually in the late game, right, you will see Cisia with Rowan. Because Rowan is there to accelerate her summon skills. So that's why I guess 2.5 is fair. Yeah, but like against all the top units on top, right? She's too slow. So yeah, 2.5 is fair. If you are playing against a team that's slower, I think Cisia is uber powerful because she can get her summon off, and if she's able to summon the summon 2-3 times, it's basically game over from there. But I guess yeah, to be fair, 2.5 is okay. I can agree on that. Then we have Rowan. Then we have Smokey as well. Okay, so Smokey is a unit which is quite heavily countered by the meta because you guys see on top, right? All the top units, they're all very control centric. And there's also this artifact known as the confining spell, which is used a lot. So any ability or skill that's able to sort of interrupt Smokey is going to render this unit relatively useless. Okay, so for Seth's case, I think Seth is very, very underrated. Like, this unit is way more powerful in arena than anything else. Yeah, very, very underrated unit. Like, I don't know why they gave him such a low score. Because Seth is primarily right now more of a arena unit than anything else, and his score definitely should be higher. Yeah, this is what I really don't understand. So I'm not going to comment too much. For Thermasia's case, Thermasia can build up steam if you don't answer to Thermasia. But yeah, control is a thing. Thermasia is also very weak to control. Like, I think some of these units, they're down here because they're very weak to control. Walker. Right, I don't know. I mean, I don't see people using Walker, and I personally wouldn't invest in Walker just to test him out in arena because his kit is not very spectacular for me. So yeah, I think some of the bottom ranking is questionable, at least based on my personal experience. I don't know how they arrive at some of these rankings, to be really honest. Like, I don't see people using Walker. I also don't see people using, okay, Thermasia maybe can be very, very annoying if she gets to do what she do. Seth, a little bit RNG based, but I'll say actually uber powerful in the late game though. Like, Seth is one of the answers to the wildest. In case you guys are wondering how to counter Iron, right? Yeah, Seth is one of the answer. But same thing, he doesn't have immunity, so kind of weak to control, I guess, to a certain extent. So that's why maybe they put him here. But I do think that Seth is at least 3 points though. Yeah, at least for Seth. Celezo, nope. Parisa, nope. Okay, I tell you what, any unit that is 1.5 and below, right? I won't recommend people to use the unit. Except for Cetrana. This unit, right, has a very, very niche position. Yeah, but yeah, I guess it's because nobody used this unit, that's why they give it to 0 point. So that's that. Okay, can I say 100% agree with this arena rating? Not really. I think some of the units are quite underestimated in this tier list, at least in the arena side. I mean, I'm a big lover for arena, by the way, so I gave some of my feedbacks, but I might not agree with all of them, so that's that. But in general, I think the top few units, I think at least the 2.5 and above, I can agree with their rating system. So the 0 point, definitely, I think Khafra is... Okay, Khafra has a certain niche. Satrana has a certain niche as well. Kruger, Morale... Yeah, they are not arena units. Rise, I think Rise has a certain niche. Yeah, I'll leave all the certain niches to other videos so that you guys can understand what I mean by certain niches. But Dumont, Atalanta, Cassidy, okay. Yeah, I can agree with their positions. Merrily, yeah. Merrily is Dream Realm character. Don't use her in arena. You jump to her own death. Lucius, yeah. Lucius kind of gets overshadowed by Torrent and Granny though. Kind of unfortunate. Yeah, because they are just better tanks out there that you won't invest your resources into Lucius. But I do think that if let's say you are not investing in those top tanks, Lucius can be used. Okay, not the best unit, but can be used definitely. So Faye and Corinne, okay, yeah, I can agree. But yeah, pretty much I think 1.5 and below are toilet bowl for arena, except for the units with certain niches, Khafra, Satrana, and Rice. I'll make a video for them to talk about what their certain niches will be, so you guys can stay tuned for that. But that's for the arena side of things. So lastly, we're gonna end off their list in terms of the battle drill side. So let's sort it out. Okay, so battle drill is split into a bossing category as well as the farming category. So what do I mean by the bossing and farming category? For those of you guys who do not know, I just released a video earlier talking about some simple tips and tricks for battle drill. And there's actually two components to battle drill, right? So there's farming and there's bossing. So farming is basically the normal passageways where you fight multiple enemies and your goal is to finish them as fast as possible. Then for the bossing side is basically the stages where you fight the bosses and you want to jam in as much damage as possible. So there are certain units that are good for bossing, there are certain units that are good for farming, there are certain units that are amazing for both in battle drill itself. So they are the units on top. So Reina, as usual, yeah, very, very powerful for bossing, very, very good for farming as well. Because of the fractional bonus as well as the ability to give a buff to your AoE attacker. Smokey, yes, definitely. Right, Donnell, definitely. I would argue that maybe Donnell is not so good for the boss, because Donnell is more AoE centric. But if you do have him built up and you do have a team built around him, he might be able to function in the bossing, and that's why they gave him 2 points. Okay, so 4 points from there. So I guess that's where Donnell got his points, right? Donnell's ranking in arena is definitely warranted for. Battle drill is arguable. I might give Donnell a 3 because I'll say he's more farming centric because he's AoE based. Like bossing, you want strong single target carries. So if you have units like Merrily, you will use Merrily for the bosses, right? So in that case, Donnell can be lower. But I guess if it's their rating system in terms of usage, in terms of how they see the unit, I guess it's fair. Then we have Tamasia. Okay, yeah, Tamasia is go for bossing as well as farming, because farming she has AoE, for bossing she has debuff, and then you slot her with all the light bearers, you get a team there for the bossing side. Rice is also okay. Yeah, Rice is a very underrated unit as well. So unsurprisingly, because not a lot of people are recommending this unit, but this unit does decent damage as well. Yeah. According to some people who tested Rice, I think this unit is pretty decent damage against boss as well. Not the best against the likes of OD obviously, but still a decent chunk, right? Considering the fact that this is an AoE attacker. So definitely good for farming. Rice is the Chocobo riding Gunner that does AoE damage. So next we have Shakir. Arguable. Yeah, arguable. Just Shakir actually has a comp for boss. Yeah, I should run Shakir for bossing side. Although maybe they don't run it, that's why they give Shakir 1 point for bossing. Yeah, Shakir should be a 4 because Shakir is good for farming, right? Shakir has a little bit of AoE, has a little bit of buff for a melee team, and obviously since this unit is good for melee team, it's gonna be good for the melee team for bossing as well. So that's why 4 points. Questionable there, but okay, I can accept it. Cisia, why though? Why? Wait, where's Carolina? Where's Carolina? Carolina's a 2. Okay. I have to clarify, okay. I don't have any particular hate against Cisia. Like, contrary to popular belief, I mentioned multiple times, I'm actually a big fan of Cisia. But for farming's case, if I want to clear the passageways within 3 seconds, right? I mean, within 20 seconds or so, right? I will use Cisia because Cisia requires a little bit of build up, right? So she's not exactly the fastest for farming. For farming side, you kind of want to kill the minions as fast. So I don't know, maybe in terms of usage, yes, because like I mentioned multiple times, right? A lot of people actually invested in Cisia. So this unit is probably quite highly invested amongst a lot of players as well. So people will see her being like this unit that's good for farming. So yeah, if you analyze it from that perspective, I think Cisia is okay. Yeah, boss. Obviously, if I have better choices, I won't use her. Okay, don't get me wrong. I think her points are warranted for if you give the context, if you give the explanation that people invested in her, so she's their strongest units, and that's why she's so high up in the list. Right? If the unit is strong, I can see why the units can be used. Yeah, but if I have better choices, I won't use her. Okay, so that's my take. Then we have OD. Okay. Yeah, OD is quite single target based, not the fastest for farming. So 1 point, okay. Seth. Actually, Seth is okay. Seth is not the best single target unit, but combine him with Shakir, I think they do decently in the melee team as well. Yeah, Seth and Shakir. These two units, I think they are quite underrated because people are very obsessed with Iron Carolina combo. People are very obsessed with OD Melody doing insane damage, that often these units where they are the in-betweens, they are kind of neglected, but actually they are okay. Yeah, I could use them actually for my second or third team for bosses. So kind of underrated here. So that's for their points. Then we have Cassidy. Okay, Cassidy is an amazing bosser, 2 points. Definitely correct. Brian, amazing bosser as well, together with Laika. This unit has very powerful single target damage, and this unit can survive pretty well. So there's a very low chance that this unit get popped off by the boss. Then we have Torrent. Okay, actually I disagree with the Torrent positioning, because Torrent can also be a bossing character with the debuff on the boss. Yeah. So the 3 units which I have I'll say like different opinion is these 3: Seth, Torrent, and Shakir. I easily think that these 3 units, they're also 4 pointers, because if I have a choice to use them, I'll use them, right? So from what I see, right, we have 0 point, which is don't use them. We have 1 point, which is you can use them, but they're not the best. And then we have 2 points, which means that, oh yeah, this unit is good for that particular role, right? So yeah, Torrent I think is good for that particular role for bossing. Like if you need a debuffer, if you need a linker to protect your carry, you need a frontliner, I think Torrent is pretty good. So 2 pointer there. Seth is questionable, right? 1 point, I guess you can say that, but this unit is a decent damage dealer as well. So if I have a choice, I will also choose to use Seth, right? Because I can combine Chef with Shakir, making the 2 of them good together. So that's why these 3 units, I'll say they're questionable. The rest, I can agree if you give the correct context. Then Igor, yeah, Igor's good for farming. The AoE is good damage, and you can use Igor as a tank if you don't have Torrent, right? So that's I mean, if you use up Torrent stamina, you need another tanker. Igor is a decent tank because very annoying. Just keeps on bouncing around and then charge the ultimate and then unleash AoE damage from there and debuff the enemy. Okay, Vala's one of the best single target damage. Agree. So 2-1, 2-1 3 points. Okay. Parisa, yes. In a battle drill game mode where you can buy space for Parisa, she's quite a powerful AoE attacker. Like her ultimate is pretty insane. Combine her with Iron, that's another thing altogether. So that's that. She's slow in other game modes, but in battle drill, I think she's just at the right pace to do decent damage. Coco, yeah. Okay, Coco is more defensive by nature. So if you go by the bossing criteria, you kind of want to do as much damage as possible. And at the end game, most of the units can survive pretty well in battle drill with all the guild buffs that you're able to achieve before you actually hit the boss. So you don't need that much survival, which is where Coco shines, right? The damage reduction as well, the shield that she provides. So that's why they put her as a you can use, but not the best choice. 1 point over here. So I can agree. Okay. Niru, yes. Can use him definitely. Not the best choice. Okay. Scarlita, farming, yes. Not for bossing. Yeah, because you waste 15 seconds in the air. Iron, not for bossing as well, because AoE character. Yeah, the debuff is only for a short duration. So good for quickly finishing a group of enemies, but not good against the boss in a long drawn out battle. Merrily, yes. By the way, as you guys can see, right, in terms of the scoring system, I think like certain units might seem really weak because they are at a lower point, but they're not that weak. They're just because they are more towards one side of the game mode. So yes, Merrily is more so for the bosses. But the thing is, I think for most people who would have invested in Merrily for Dream Realm, they probably had a really strong Merrily. So to a certain extent, I might be able to give a Merrily a 1 or 2 in farming if you do have her built up, right? So if you do have her built up, I think her scores could be a little bit higher. So that's for Merrily's case. Then Faye, okay, decent healer all around. I guess you can use him. Kruger is definitely used for the bossing side only, single target debuffer. Okay, Rowan is fine. Harry is okay because best healer, but in game modes where you want speed in bringing your opponent down, Harry is not the choice. Yeah, Granny is good for the tougher stages in terms of farming because this unit has CC, has Taunt and self-regen, so very, very good as a tank substitute next to Torrent. So usually you want 3 tanks for 3 different teams, right? Or at least like 1 tank per team or 1 unit they could tank up. So Granny is a good choice there. Definitely not used for bossing. This unit doesn't offer much in terms of doing more damage to the boss. Okay, Carolina score, I guess so. Same thing as Iron. Like Carolina is an AoE attacker that wants to burst people down quickly. So good for the AoE content of Battle Drill, but not for the bossing side. Okay, Mira is okay. Yeah, the issue with Mira is just she's just too slow. I do think that if she's a little bit faster, she could be meta in a lot of contents, simply from the damage that she could output, as well as what she really wants to do, right, which is AoE damage. So Corinne's case, actually no. I would argue that Corinne is actually good for bossing, because Corinne is a meta unit in Dream Realm, right? So the same context when you put into bossing in terms of dealing damage to the boss, I think Corinne can easily be a 2 on the bossing side as well. Yeah, maybe bump up Corinne a little higher. Yeah, Arden, agree. 0-2, yes. Laika 1-1, okay. You can use her, but she's not the best unit because you have better choices out there. A Barrow, no. Yeah, Barrow's a arena unit, don't bother. Lucius, okay, like I mentioned, Lucius is sort of because there's just way better tankers up there. And Tendra, Torrent, as well as Danny, right? So that's why she's here. Salazzo, don't bother. Salazzo is a toilet bowl. Brutus, yeah, Brutus is just jack of all trades but master of none, unfortunately. And Tendra, okay, I can see why. Because that you have quite a bit of tanking option on top. So you don't specifically need Tendra to tank up. You can use Igor as a tank, right? Igor serves as a good tank. You can use units like Shakir as a tank as well, right? Because Shakir on the front line with enough stats buff can survive some barrages of attack. That's team measure. There's also the likes of Torrent, obviously. There's even Danny on top if you want to use Danny. So I think compared to other tank, yeah, Antandra not really like a good pick here. Damien, 1 point. Okay, because Damien is not very fast. Neither is he a good bosser. Yeah, 0.01 is okay. Sylvina, yes. Not good AoE attacker, so 0 point. Then the rest is all the toilet bowl unit for this game. Okay, why is Viperion down here? Why is Viperion down here? Because Viperion is a unit that is very good for the initial burst, but if you draw out the battlefront for too long, Viperion loses a lot of the AoE damage prowess based on his kit. So in terms of battle drill, right? Number one, you lose HP quite easily, so Viperion will collect back all the Vipers and then lose a lot of damage on the ultimate. And on top of that, in the bossing side, this unit is not very good, so I can see why they put him here. So that's for the numbers ranking. So this is not the final tier list, by the way. These are the points that they give to the units based on how they actually function in the endgame. I agree with most of them, maybe with a little bit of a few outliers like Shakir, Seth, Torrent. I think Torrent can be easily a 4 as well. Coco, okay, yeah, Coco 3 is fine. Let's see, yeah, Seth, Shakir, Torrent, Merrily, right? Because Merrily will be the most invested unit for most people. So I'll say these are the outliers in my honest take. If not, I think this part of analyzing the unit from a late game perspective is quite accurate. So with that, right, they add up all the scores for Dream Realm, Arena, as well as Battle Drill in the total section, and then that's where they arrive at the point system to give the ranking of the unit. So before I end off the video, right, like I'm just gonna talk about the ranking, how you guys want to see the tier list ranking and how it will benefit you guys. Okay, so obviously the topmost characters, they are highly recommended to be invested because they are in general very powerful, in general very versatile, so you want to use them. And there are units which I'll say transits quite well from the early to late game as well in most cases, except for maybe Donnell, because Donnell, yeah, is a more late game centric character. But these units, by far, I'll say they are the best units in the game simply because of their end game versatility. So yes, invest in them if you have, focus in them if you have the opportunity to. Okay, Scarletta. If Donnell, if Reina didn't exist, right, I think Scarletta would definitely be on top. A lot of Scarletta's shine actually got taken away by Reina because Reina is just way too good for Dream Realm. Like for Dream Realm, if you do have Reina, right, like you pretty much ain't gonna get into the top ranking in the end game, right? So speaking from an end game perspective, Reina simply took the shine away from Scarletta, at least from the Dream Realm side, and that's why her ranking actually dropped. But if you consider Scarletta as a unit that can do multiple stuff, she's still quite versatile in general. So yeah, S tier, pretty good unit here. So Vala, same thing, generally very versatile. Like she's not like a must-have unit, like she's a unit that, yeah, it's good to have for the different game mode, and she's the best light bearer unit in the pool right now, so definitely warranted for the S tier. Bryon, very, very underrated. I agree. This unit is not like, once you see his kit, you know that this unit is uber powerful, but if you do get him to the higher tier, you'll be able to see his full potential. So S tier, definitely warranted for. Teenager, same thing. I'll say Teenager's ranking is more so because this unit has very specific niches where you need this unit. Not so much so as to this unit being versatile, because this unit only see a few meta team usage, but he is pretty much a must for those meta teams for you to hit high damage. And in certain situations where if you don't deal with this unit, like if this unit does build up on the ultimate usage, right, gains unaffected and then do what he wants, then she can be quite annoying as well. Right, so that's for Teenager. Coco, okay, Coco, right, I'll be honest with you guys, I think after like all the new meta for Primal Lord, for Dream Realm, as well as how Coco is an amazing content pusher, I do think that Coco can go up to the EX tier. So from an end game perspective, let's explain why Coco is kind of underrated here, because Coco is a relatively new unit even in the PTR server. I don't know whether or not I said this in the earlier part, but this unit is quite untested. So based on what I can observe, right, let me just check out the current usage for Coco in the different Dream Realm teams. Yeah, I think Coco is quite okay for the late game side as well in terms of Dream Realm per se. Like her score actually got dragged down a little bit over here. So I can give her a 2 points or even a 3 points, because if I don't have Smokey, which most of you guys should have, I'll use Coco, right? And I think below Smokey, the other support that probably can fulfill the role of Smokey is Coco. And if you're somebody who is pushing through contents, you will have Coco at a higher tier. So her at a higher tier can also do decently in Dream Realm. So her score could be improved slightly to even move her up to the EX tier. So yeah, Coco is quite underrated, at least in this tier list. But I'll say it's probably because she's quite untested in PTR as well. So that's for Coco. CC in the S tier, 7 points. Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, like I mentioned, right? Like a lot of people have her invested, so you can see her usage. But will you use her? Maybe not. Like in Arena, yes, I agree with the points. In Battle Drills, okay, yes, right. If you have her being the most invested unit, if you have her being the strongest unit in your team, she's gonna deliver. She's gonna do damage. She's gonna do what she wants to do, which is summon a golem, do AoE damage, and she's pretty decent for all these different things in the end game as well. If you do have her built up, right? If you don't have her, it's fine as well. You can use other units as a substitute. So yeah, S tier here. I'm going to say this, right? Because I see my video releasing, and then maybe a bunch of Cecilia fanboys come into the chat. I told you Cecilia is good. Cecilia is S tier. But I'm just saying this from somebody who invested in her. If you did invest in her, then I guess you can use this to validate why you invest in her. Okay. But at the same time, if you take a look at this from a different perspective, she seems kind of mid, right? So it depends on how you see it, but it's subjective. So I respect their decision, putting her in the S tier. Okay, Cecilia is okay, Shakia okay, Corinne's okay as well. More Dream Realm centric. I think a lot of Corinne's score got pushed up by Dream Realm. Same thing for Marilee, right? So that's that. But in terms of, I think I'll say importance, Corinne and Marilee is definitely top tier, because Dream Realm is a very big part of the rewards. So these two units. If you just grade them as to how useful they are higher. But if you grade them based on the point system, yes, I agree with their point system, because these two units, they are not very good in Arena. Okay, Seth. Yeah, I have a little bit of conflicting view for Seth, because I personally have a different experience with Seth. So in terms of the rating for Seth for Dream Realm, I can agree. But for Arena, I disagree, because I see Seth being higher. Same thing for Shakir as well. And then for Battle Drill, I also see Seth being a little bit higher. So if I go by my theory, Seth probably is also in the S tier category as well. Yeah. Iron in the S tier. Okay, I mean, if you base it on points, yes. Right, if you base it on how they grade the unit, yes. Because Iron is not that much used in Dream Realm in the end game. Arena, yes, Irons have a really good score. Battle Drill. Yeah, Iron got put down by Battle Drill though. Although I think that Iron could be higher for Battle Drill. So that's that, okay. I guess in terms of usage wise, 6 points, okay. Carolina, same thing, same issue as Iron. Like these two is uber powerful for Arena, right? But I think in terms of like their usage in other game mode, they are not the most optimal choice you want to use, unfortunately. Same thing for Damien, right? Arena King, but maybe not so much in other game mode. Igor as well. Although Igor could be a bit higher as well, because I mentioned my disagreement with how Igor is placed in the different in the other sections. But okay, 6 points is okay as well. Heron okay, Lyca's okay, Rowan's okay, Nero's okay, Barrel's okay. Yeah, Barrel's issue is this unit is strong, but this unit is very niche, so that's why. Kruger okay. Yeah, only really one game mode that he really excels at. Arden, maybe a little bit higher, personal opinion. Cassidy maybe a little bit higher as well, because I think she does have some potential, maybe just because Black Barrel is very weak, right? So you don't see a lot of people using Cassidy. Then we have Granny. Okay, we have Parisa. Okay, I agree. The rest of the other units below, okay, if we go by the point system, I do agree with the placement of these units. Basically, units that are in the B and C tier, they are not like units you generally will see usage in. Although I could argue that Rise could be a little bit higher. Yeah, but if we go by their systematic approach of the point system, yes, I can see why they are placed here. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this this thing, right? We're gonna go back into the website. Okay, so we're gonna end it on this page. You guys can go to this page, right? Have a glance at the tier list. If you guys want to go into the details as to the numbers on the Excel sheet, link in the description down below, right? Thank you very much for tuning in as usual. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more content from the channel, and I'll see you guys again in my next AFK journey video. Bye guys.